everybody, today we're going to read Rose Meets Mr Wintergarten by Bob Graham. So having a look at this first picture, it's a beautiful little house here for sale, nice and colourful, and then there's a big house that's all fenced and got lots of overgrown bushes, and it looks quite dark and sad, doesn't it? The morning the Summers family moved into their new house, they felt at home. Faith and Rose put up their pictures. Baby Blossom watched. Mr and Mrs Summers planted pansies, petunias, daisies and geraniums. Their garden was a carpet of flowers, all before the sun went down. Beautiful flowers, aren't they? Every morning from the roof of their house, the Summers watched the sun come up. The sun never touched the house next door. Next door, everything bristled. Next door lived Mr Wintergarten. Doesn't look like a very inviting place, does it? There were stories in the street about Mr Wintergarten. He's mean, said Emily. And horrible, said Arthur. He's got a dog like a wolf, said Naomi. And a saltwater crocodile. They say that he rides on his crocodile at night, said Emily. And gets ya, Arthur shrieked. I don't believe you, said Rose. Anyway, don't frighten Blossom. Poor little Blossom, they're listening to their scary stories. My dad lost his football over there when he was a boy, said Emily. You can just see it through the prickles, old and flat as a pancake. No one ever goes in there, said Arthur, in case Mr Wintergarten eats them. If your ball ever goes over there, said Naomi, forget it. And just then, Rose's ball went straight over Mr Wintergarten's fence. Uh-oh, I wonder what's going to happen. Rose went to tell her mum. Well, honey bunch, Mum said, you can get your ball back. Why don't you just go and ask him? Because he eats kids, said Rose. Well, take him some hotcakes instead, said Mum, and maybe some flowers. Mr Wintergarten's front gate had not been opened for years. Rose heaved and pushed. The gate groaned and squeaked. Then slowly it swung open. Rose could see that there was a dog, as big as a wolf. I can't see any crocodiles, she said. I should hope not, replied Mum, and threw the dog a cake. Rose knocked on Mr Wintergarten's door. Who the devil is that? Shouted a voice from inside. It's me, said Rose, and tippy-toed in. What do you want? Said Mr Wintergarten. I'm Rose Summers from next door. I've come to ask for my ball back. She twisted her fingers in her handkerchief. I've brought some flowers and hot fairy cakes from my mum. Mr Wintergarten glared at her. Oh, she looks a bit nervous, doesn't she? His dinner was cold, grey and uninviting, with bits of gristle floating around in it and mosquitoes breeding on top of it. But Rose could see that he wasn't eating children. Please, may I look for my ball? She asked. No, growled Mr Wintergarten. Clear off! But when Rose had gone, Mr Wintergarten slowly pushed back his chair and did something that he hadn't done for years. Mr Wintergarten opened his curtains so he can actually see the children and outside now. It's not quite as dark as it was. He looks very lonely standing there though, doesn't he? He sat on his front step in the sun. No one has ever asked for their ball back, he said to himself, or bought fairy cakes. He saw Rose's ball and thoughtfully pushed it with his toe. Next, he did some darting movements that made his coattails fly in the sun. Then Mr Wintergarten kicked the ball. What's happened when he kicked the ball? Right back over the fence. Good kick, said Rose. Thank you, replied Mr Wintergarten. Would someone mind throwing back my slipper? He added. I will, said Rose. She threw his slipper high into the air. Catch, Mr Wintergarten, called Rose, and Mr Wintergarten caught it. And that's the end of the story, but what have you noticed about the picture now? Look, people are taking down the fences and they've cut all the bush away and all of the kids are now playing. Mr Wintergarten's also playing. Look, he looks a lot happier, doesn't he? There you are. Well, thank you.